What's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. Big shout out to my doggy, Jack Hamer, for coming through and boosting the coin up. So, as you've seen by the title, Deontay Wilder has clapped out at Andy Majin Buu Ruiz and Alexander Usyk. He ready for both of them, yeah? He want both in the same night. He want to give all these funny style dons the squabbles right now. Yeah, he looking to do all the fake knockouts with these guys. Listen, Wilder have this fake news knocked out Robert Bumley. Now I want to fix another fight. I want to fix another KO against Usyk or Andy Ruiz. Yeah, they're the quote. Anyway, let's get serious. Look at the cap here. These are Wilder's comments. I set Bumlenius up, Wilder said. I allowed him to reach, and when he reached, I attacked. Cap. It was a great fight. Come on now. This guy, great fight. It's been a good camp for me. We worked to make this fun for me. I bet it was fun. Yeah, it's always fun when you know the result of the fight. AKA, Bumlenius going to jump on the floor in the first round. We work at this so much that it can just become a job. We made it fun again. I bet you did. Yeah, listen Wilder, the reason it wasn't fun against Fury, because he wasn't paid to jump on the floor. Like Robert Bumlenius, like Malik Scott, and like most of the other bums you've fought. That's just what it is. It's no coincidence. What, you think it's a coincidence? The first bum not to jump on the floor, Fury, all of a sudden you get washed 3 times. Come on now, cut the cap. Yeah? Deontay Captor, 100%. We put in over 700 rounds and it paid off tonight, big time. He did that. It's just amazing to be back in Brooklyn. It's like a second home to me. It feels so good to be back. When I got off the plane, I felt great energy and love, and that's all I needed. It's been a good camp for me. This guy keep waffling about the same things. Anyway, I've been hearing rumours about the unified heavyweight world champion, Alexander Usyk, being at ringside. But he's not here, is he? Wow. When guys see these knockouts, they turn the corner away from me. I'm ready for whatever. Whether it's Mr. Majin Buu Jr. or whether it's Usyk, I'm ready. Deontay is back. And the excitement in the heavyweight division is back. So, Wilder's a legend that Usyk was... And to be fair, Usyk did say he was going to pull up. Where was he at? I don't know. He must have been in Poland hiding somewhere. 100%. Yeah, Usyk was too busy posted up in Switzerland hiding. That's what I've heard. But it's true. I remember at the time when Fury was going to fight AJ, Usyk started putting out news. Yeah, I'm going to give Wilder the squabbles. I'm going to pull up on Wilder. I didn't tell him to say that. Usyk was saying he was going to pull up on Wilder. Where were they pulling up? Now, it might be the case that Usyk thought, listen, I ain't going to go to USA to watch no fake knockout. Yeah? When Wilder has a real fight, then maybe I'll pull up. So maybe Usyk's plan is to pull up after if Wilder's good enough to beat Ruiz. Because I don't care what no one says. Ruiz ain't going to take a dive, in my opinion. Well, so far from what I've seen, if anything, listen, if Ruiz was ever going to take a dive, he could have taken a dive in the first AJ fight, innit? Let's be real now. Yeah? If there was ever a time for Andy Ruiz to take a dive and make AJ look good, it would have been that fight. So I don't believe Ruiz will take a dive. I've already said, listen, I think that Ruiz fight's great. Why? If Deontay Wilder knocks out Andy Ruiz, I'll give him credit as the hardest punching heavyweight of all time. Because really, we've never even seen Ruiz troubled. Yes, AJ put him down, but he got straight back up and it was no problems whatsoever. And I've just seen Ruiz take straight hands off of Luis Ortiz. And yeah, listen, Ortiz is 70 years old, that's well known. But still, they was heavy shots, and he took them all. So if Wilder knocks out Andy Ruiz, I'm going to give him credit as the hardest punching heavyweight of all time. Until then, he's any bum to me. I'd put Wilder in the top 20 right now. Wilder's probably top 15 hardest punchers of all time. He's nowhere near number 1, based on the evidence that's available. Yeah? Anyway, these weren't the only comments from Wilder. Wilder also leaked some more comments. He said Wilder's trainer, Joyce, would be much tougher than Andy Ruiz. Wow. And this I hate to say this, yeah, but I've been telling Joe Joyce's team, no one ain't going to fight you unless you've got it mandated. Yeah? I've got a video coming soon. Usyk in the last 24 hours. Oh, I don't want to fight Joe Joyce. He's like a tank. Team Wilder. Joyce is much harder than Andy Ruiz. It's not rocket science. I told Team Joyce, you cannot afford to have this guy just hanging around. No one is going to fight him. He represents huge risk and really no reward. Although, to be honest with you, I think even now, I reckon Joe Joyce does sell out the O2. Joe Joyce sold out the O2 against Joe Parker. I'm sorry, I reckon if Joe Joyce fights Wilder, I think that can sell Wembley. I'm going to be honest. It might not do a 95,000 that Fury and Dillian White did. I think Wilder versus Joyce will sell 60, 70,000. Honestly, I do. I just do. So, it might not even necessarily be a true fact that Joyce doesn't bring the numbers. And to be honest with you, does Andy Ruiz do big numbers? Okay, in all fairness, in the US, he has the whole Mexican thing. So yeah, he probably does do numbers, in all fairness. But again, this is why Joe Joyce is so dangerous. Everyone, it's not just Wilder. It's not just Usyk. Who else have we got? Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury said Joe Joyce is number 2 heavyweight in the world. That's what he said. Honestly. Tyson Fury said Joe Joyce is number 2 heavyweight in the world behind him. Everyone, when they mention Joe Joyce, is nervous. And it's such a shame that Joe Joyce's team are double agents. Joe Joyce's team are employed by Frank Warren on a clandestine contract. Simple as that. There's no other explanation. Such a shame. Huge waste of talent. But Joe, I don't know what's wrong with him. I've tried to pass him the game. He seems happy fighting bums for years, basically. Such a shame. Joe Joyce should be fighting for the WBO strap next month, in my opinion, if I had it my way. Yeah? Active champions should be active. Usyk just fought in August. He should be demanded to fight before the next month. Yeah? Simple as that. Your mans should be demanded to fight before February, which would be 6 months. Oops. That's how it should be. I ain't trying to hear nothing else about it. But I need time off. But I need to fight Fury. No, you need to fight your mandatory. That's what you need to do. Honestly, I'm more interested about Usyk and Joyce than I am Usyk and Fury. Anyway, back to Wilder. Listen, let's read out the actual quotes here. Let's show you, man, how shook these certain mans are. At the top of the division, there are not many fighters I'm interested in fighting. Joe Joyce is a much better fighter for us concerning entertaining fights than Andy Ruiz. Oh, I'm surprised about that. Ruiz would be more marketable because he's a former heavyweight world champion. But Joyce is a much tougher opponent than Andy Ruiz is. Joyce would beat Ruiz easily. Wow. Team Wilder told the newspaper. When I think of Joe Joyce, I think, how many could he take? And if he can take the hardest puncher in the history of the sport over and over again and not be dazed, which is almost humanly impossible, then obviously he'd be the toughest one. Now, I actually disagree with this, in as much as, of course, I have that intrigue. Wow, can Joe Joyce take that Wilder bang? But I ain't going to sit here and lie. I've already explained. I rate Andy Ruiz as well. To sit there and say Joyce would beat Andy Ruiz, I think there's certain risks there. Although, it does have to be said. A lot of people told me, YB, Joe Parker's going to wash Joe Joyce. Look at the hand speed. Now, Joe Parker has similar hand speed to Andy Ruiz. Albeit, he's put a lot of weight on and is a lot slower when he fought Joyce. But still, guess what? The hand speed was not a problem for Joyce. Timing, punked, hand speed. But at this point in time, there's no doubt Andy Ruiz's hands are much quicker. And I can see a scenario where we know Andy Ruiz loves to punch with you. That's how AJ got caught slipping. Andy Ruiz will punch with you. And because of the hand speed, I can see Joyce, I can see Andy Ruiz, at least at the beginning, lighting Joyce up like 100%. I can see Andy Ruiz lighting Joyce up like a Christmas tree early in the fight. But the problem is, ultimately, guess what? If Joyce doesn't feel you've got the bang, you are fucked. Because, I'm sorry, but Andy Ruiz don't have the bang. Andy Ruiz couldn't even put AJ out. They were blunt. Yeah, Andy Ruiz has blunt shots. So the problem is, when Joyce feels a few of them, he'll take them, and then you, like I said, you're fucked. He's going to walk you down. But it'd be so intriguing. Why? Well, Andy Ruiz is normally the guy who walks you down. So it'll be like two great forces colliding. And to be honest with you, in terms of the heavyweight division, in terms of chins, Andy Ruiz is certainly top 5. Joyce is number 1, in my opinion. So seeing two fighters who are both pressure fighters, Ruiz has the speed, Joyce has the size and the jab, and I mean, that'd be a great fight. And that's why I'm so frustrated. Joyce, yeah, he should be in all these fights. Really, Joyce for me is the common denominator in the division right now. What one fighter has the most exciting fights with everyone? Joyce versus Usyk. Yeah? Joyce versus Wilder. Joyce versus Fury. No one else can say that. I'm sorry, they can't. No one else has so many question marks in as much as Usyk versus Fury, in my opinion, there's no question there. Joyce versus Fury, there's a question. Do you understand? Joyce is the common denominator, and yet he's likely to be fighting Otto Wallin next. What the fuck? Joe, if your team throw you Otto Wallin, you are a clown. Yeah, let me say it right now publicly. If you accept fighting Otto Wallin next, you should be in the mix with all these mans. Wilder, Fury, Johnston, yeah, Joshua, yeah, Wilder, Ruiz, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, all them ones. They're the ones you should be in the mix with, not fucking Wallin. What's Wallin done? Yeah, get that Wallin out of it. I'm trying to hear about Wallin. I'm so sick of this game. I really am. This game sucks. Why is it Wilder fights Bumlenius but don't fight Joyce? Who set that one up? I've been saying in my last video, boxing needs to change. Boxing needs to have divisions like football. If you're in the Premier League of boxing, you only fight Premier League fighters. You don't have Arsenal playing Bromley. There's a reason for that. Yeah? It's not good for the sport. You want to see the best versus the best. It should be top 5s only. So there would be no Wilder versus Bumlenius. Joyce, AJ, Fury, Usyk, Wilder, Ruiz, Ortiz, and then a few more dons. That's the top 10. Maybe Dillian White. He's not really in top 10, but Dillian White, Dubois, and Jared Anderson. That's the 10. That's the Premier League division. Them 10 names. And they're the only ones you can fight. So there would be no Fury versus Chisora. There'd be no Wilder versus Bumlenius. There'd be no Joyce versus Wallin. It would be you 10 man over in the Premier League. Work it out between yourselves. And if you don't, fight one of these mans. If whoever doesn't fight one of the top 10 in 6 months, you are relegated. And that relegation obviously would mean less money, because you can only fight lesser fighters. Like the Otto Wallins or whoever else. You get relegated to the B leagues. That's how boxing needs to be. An A league, a B league, and a C league. And if you're not active, you get dropped. If you have too many losses, you get dropped and you work your way back up. Yeah? every 6 months. That's how it should be. Because there's so much talent at the moment. There's absolutely no justification for fights like Wilder and Bumlenius. Joyce versus Wallin. Fury versus Chisora. I've just named 10 names. That didn't even include Hrgovic, Zhang. Yeah? There's genuinely a top 15 which is packed. And yet, we have fights like Fury versus top 50. Wilder versus top 30. It's not good enough, man. It's not good. And that's why I love the UFC, even though I don't connect with the sport in the same way, but I rate the UFC because the UFC is more or less what I'm talking about. Their system works. Boxing sucks. Because the sad thing is, Joe Joyce is 38, Wilder's 37. And before we know it, I've just named you all these top fights I want to see. I think we'll be lucky to get one of them. I think in the next 2 years we're going to be lucky. Because really, in the next 2 years, yeah, Joe Joyce, based on my system, 2 years is 4 fights. So, based on my system, in 2 years, Joe Joyce would fight 4 people of that top 10 list. In reality, I'm going to bet in the next 2 years, Joe Joyce will be lucky to have fought one of them peak names. That's my base case. If I was to bet money right now, I'd bet Joe Joyce in the next 2 years only fights one of Fury, Ruiz, AJ, Ortiz, etc, etc. In my system, he'd be guaranteed to fight 4 of them. Not maybe, and that's the thing, I'm not even sure he'd get one. I'm saying an average case he'll get one. There's a chance. I think there's a 30-40% chance he don't get none in the next 2 years. Seriously. There's a good chance, with all the rematches, clauses, and with all the Fury and Usyk bullshit going around, I think there's a chance that Joe Joyce don't get nothing. In the next 2 years, it might be the case Joe Joyce only gets to fight Wallin and some other muppet. It's a travesty. It really is, anyway. I hope Wilder says the fight's interesting. Wilder, push for it. Because Wilder could have been pushed for the Joyce fight, rather than Bumlenius. Why didn't he push for that? Oops. Don't forget, people, Wilder's not a champion no more. Wilder was free to say, Joe Joyce, I want you back, I want you next, I want you bad. Now, fair enough. I guess Wilder wanted a kind of easy fake fight. Fine. You've had your easy fixed fight. Now let's see you go in there with Joe Joyce. Because in all fairness, yeah, Joe Joyce is pretty straight up and down. It's not like he's got crazy head movement. He does get hit. We've seen loads of people hit Joe Joyce with a right hand. In fact, that arguably Joe Joyce is a sucker for a right hand. We've seen Christian Hamer. No good, no, really slow. Nowhere near the athleticism of Deontay Wilder. Joe Joyce is a sucker for a right hand. And Wilder's got the right hand. So don't talk about it. Don't fight Bumlenius. Go in there and run it and show us what time you're on. That's what Wilder needs to do. Because Wilder has the power in this situation. Joe Joyce doesn't. Wilder can say, Joe, I want you next. So please, man, I have to say this, win, lose or draw, if Wilder voluntarily fights Joe Joyce, he will certainly solidify his standing as a Hall of Fame athlete. Because that will show me he really is serious. So far, I ain't seen that. Unfortunately. Anyway, smash the like button, subscribe, and your boy will be back.